Hello! So I'm making this video because there does not seem to be a definitive, really noob guide for people trying to get into the first Diablo. There are people on forums who be like, just play, you'll figure it out. But I did that a few times. I played it when I was like 8, and I don't think I got very far. But recently, in the past several years, I've tried to get into it, and it just didn't click for me. And this is what I've found does actually click. So if you're just getting started, you're like, I don't, whatever, I don't get it, that's understandable. So the first one is, where do you buy it? And right now, the best place seems to be Good Old Games. They're pretty good, place to buy old games, whatever. And you just buy it there, and it comes with Hellfire, and then you just download it all through the Good Old Game installer, and then it'll run. And the second one is going to be, don't actually play the Hellfire version when you start out, because that's what I did the first 2 or 3 times I started recently trying to get back into it, and I did not like it. And I eventually recently found others online who agreed with what I had found in that regard, in that there's some things that are pretty good, and I think it's stuff that you're gonna think that you can't live without, like the fact that you can run in town, because for me personally, I know that that's something that when I try to get back into Diablo 1, that just sort of freaked me out. It's like, I can't run anywhere. You literally walk at this speed all the time. And if you're used to Diablo 2 or other similar games, that's not fun at all. But I can tell you from at least personal experience, you do get used to it. It's not like, you're not going to feel like you're wasting your life if you enjoy, the Diablo gameplay, which I'm hoping this guide will sort of help with. So another thing is the difficulty of Diablo, the original one, and the fact that you cannot, I'm killing these enemies here, they will not respawn. Once you go down the labyrinth and kill enemies, they don't come back. And I think it's been a while since I played Diablo 2. I think they'll come back, and you can, sort of run around in those areas and just keep killing until you level up. That does not happen in this game. And what I didn't know, and I think people don't realize, is you can actually go, and let me save the game here. And let's see, let me just quit, and I will go and launch Diablo again. And I was talking about not launching Hellfire. So you have Diablo Classic, Hellfire. Just launch regular Diablo when you're first playing it. So you come back in here, and you're in Diablo. So I have my character. Pick your character, and you can pick new game, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to basically just keep restarting the game to level up if it's getting too hard, which I did a few times. And what I personally did was I would run through, I would do whatever the level 2 or 3 quest was. When you start up, something you can do, I can just show you in getting a little scatter here. Hopefully this will. And I have a town portal. I found a book of town portal which gave me the skill, so I no longer need to pick up the town portal scrolls. But so when you start out, there's Cain. Anyone that plays Diablo 2 knows you eventually rescue Cain, or a relative, I don't know. but he'll identify your items here, but you do have to pay him to do so. Anyway, this well here, you're going to spawn right here when you start. And this well will either be blue or it will be like barf yellow. And if it's barf yellow, you go back down the labyrinth. I mean, back down. You go down, you go up to the, see where I'm pointing at the top of the screen? Or up here, wherever I put. You go up there, you go down in the church, and you go down to the second level, and you'll find a little hidden cave and a wall. And you'll kill all the enemies in there, and then it will turn back blue, and then you'll come over here to Pepin. He'll give you a cool ring like this, and once I do that, that's when I would restart. I did that about like 3 times. The other way you can test whether you want to keep restarting is that, the first kind of big boss that you do in Diablo 1 is the Butcher. And you'll know that you're facing the Butcher when you see like a big, like, square dark room, but you can kind of see like blood and guts and like, staked up bodies in there. And it's inside this sort of like perfect square room you haven't opened yet. If you see that, you know that's the Butcher. And what I would do is I would, save the game, save often, and save before you open that door. And if he kills you instantly, I would start the game over and then work my way back up. Anyway, on the subject of saving, so you save the game, it's just one save file. But what you can do is you go into, let's see, videos. If you installed it through Good Old Games, through the Galaxy installer, it will be in C drive, program files x86, GOG Galaxy, games, Diablo. And inside here you'll see all this stuff, and there's a folder for DX and for Hellfire. Hellfire, if you're playing Hellfire, which I did a little bit before playing the base game, and then DX is just the base main game. You see all these here. Well, what you can do, this is your save file, your current save file, single_0.sv, and you can just copy and paste it. Make another copy, and you can also just Control C, Control V on it, and then of course you can just name it something. Like this one was before I set my level 13 stats, when I turned level 13. This is something we'll get to in a bit with shrines. Before I did the shrine, I saved, and if I decided to come back and change it later, I could. But for someone like me who's a neurotic, fearful save scummer like that, this is something you can do. So, let's see. Shrines. So you're going to see a bunch of shrines when you're down in the dungeon. I don't know if there's one nearby when I was looking there a minute ago, but you'll see them there, and you can hover your cursor over them. You could see the name of the shrine, and you're not going to actually know what it does until you actually click it. You probably still won't even know. So what you can do is you go into your browser. I'm just going to bring it back up so you know how to go to Google. Diablo Shrines. It's the first result. Shrines Diablo 1. And you can search in here. Divine Shrine. And another quick note is, I know I did, but if any of you have a mind to try and save scum some of these, Enchanted Shrine. So Enchanted Shrine takes away a level from one of your spells. So spells, you'll get, the way to level up with spells, you find a book. And my current favorite sorcerer spell at the moment is Charge Bolt. So I've found, like, I do need to change this back. If you're a sorcerer, get used to hitting S and bringing this thing up. And let's see, right there, spell level 8. So I found 8 books on Charge Bolt. So if you press B, it'll bring up your spell book. I know it's a lot of info. You'll absorb it as you go on. So it's level 8. If you encounter an enchanted shrine, it will take 1 away from one of these. So say it would take that down to 7, and this will go to 9. This will go to 8. This will go to 8 because it's +1 to all the other spells. And I saw on another more in-depth Diablo site that I don't happen to have up right now, but credit to those people that made that site. The RNG in the original Diablo, because of the way it's set up, will almost always take the Charge Bolt one down and up the others. So I never take the Enchanted Shrine, which is annoying because I'd love for all of these to go up. But oh well. And I have personally tried. I don't know if it's possible. It might be. I don't think you can actually save scum it to the point where you can just reload and hit the shrine again and it'll up a different spell. That hasn't worked for me. Maybe it should work or does work. It just has not worked for me personally. Here's another real quick tip, is that you hit escape, it doesn't close these things, so you got to learn the actual keys. B is for the book, I is for inventory. Here's my stuff, cool stuff. C is for character, show all your stats. So you're gonna go through and you're gonna kill a bunch of stuff. Here's my Charge Bolt that I was just talking about. I just love, oh god, that pulse crawler thing freaks me out. Get out of here. So I hit S. Yeah, it's a quick thing. It's B. Ready, just click S, heal yourself if you're a sorcerer. And then go back to Charge Bolt. What's that? Full rejuvenation. That's a nice one. But right there, short bow. So that's blue. Blue items I pick up. Yeah. Stuff like this, I don't know when I pick that up. I don't bother picking up any stuff that's, like white, normal stuff. Even the staffs that have a spell, like Staff of Firebolt, Staff of Charged Bolt. I use those for a while, but I personally did not even find those very much worth it. Because something that, I think I would have covered label. No, I think it would have covered whatever. Something you'll find when you, as I spoke about earlier, we keep restarting, you're going to get loaded with gold. And, if you're at the beginning of the game, it might make some sense to just grab all these, normal white items and sell them. But to me, they're just not that worth it, having to go back to town that many times. And that this idea of not picking up any of the white items is something that makes it to where I don't have to keep going back to town. And not picking up any of the normal items, I think, is something to me that contributes to the flow of the game. Doesn't break it all, having to run back to town every 3 seconds. But I mean, when you're starting out, if it's something you want to do, that's fine. Because money is kind of tight at the beginning. But like I was mentioning, after you restart a few times, you're going to get overloaded with gold. And a tip that I did find on, I Reddit or somewhere, is if you are getting overloaded with gold, go to Wirt and go to Griswold. So that's Griswold the blacksmith. And if you go like north, maybe it's just in my game, sort of go northwest, and you'll find Wirt sitting by a tree on the other side of the river. And you can find stuff that he's selling. So that's where I got this, and I think I got this from Wirt. And it'll be like thousands of gold pieces that you need, and you can kind of spend some of this, and it's not taking up all your inventory. Anyway, another quick thing is that, like we talked about before with the save, if you're like me and you're kind of obsessive and anxious about like, oh no, I'm gonna miss something, because it's not like Diablo 2. You can't just hold down the Alt key and see everything. It doesn't work in the first Diablo. So you just basically have to, unless you have like a scroll of search or something, it's not gonna show you everything. But that's fine. You're gonna miss stuff, and you might miss something that would really help you later on. God, get out of my way. But that's okay. At some point, this is a game. Don't get stressed about it, because like I said, you're going to be restarting enough times that the rolls are going to keep happening. You're going to find some really good gear as you go on. So a few quick notes on some stuff that I found as I've searched questions I had, and this might be more Sorcerer related, is that if you do use one of these, like a staff of like, say, Firebolt, say you like using Firebolt, and you have the the regular Firebolt, and then you have the staff one. From what I've read, the Firebolt that comes from the staff is the same level as the one that I don't know that for certain. I haven't seen it like proven or anything, but that's just what I've read. But my personal, I think I may have stated earlier that the staves of Firebolt and all that stuff I don't even bother with. Especially at the beginning when you don't have that much money. You have to keep going and recharging the staff. It gets expensive. But then again, are they more expensive than the mana potions? I don't know. But I think that, personally, if you keep going, restarting the game like we were talking about, I think you kind of circumvent some of those problems. We talked about the well. So the tavern owner,
I cannot cast that here.
This guy will talk to you about his sign that went missing, and you'll go down and you'll find this little imp guy that you can talk to instead of kill him. And he'll tell you about the sign that they lost, and you'll kill some like the other guys that look like the butcher, and inside a chest, which you can only open after talking to the imp guy, you'll find the sign. Don't give the sign back to the imp guy. Immediately, as soon as you get the tavern sign, return back and come here, because you'll get a good, what was it? Yeah. Get a good helmet from him, but I also read that it does something else later in the game that's really helpful if you give it to him instead of the imp guy. So make sure you do that. Yeah, as a sorcerer, so you might have seen earlier the way that I kind of play as a sorcerer. Let's see. So there's one guy here. I just hit him with whatever I've got, whether it's a staff, a club, or just my fist. I don't use spell unless there's a ton of people here. I don't know if that's intended, but that's the way I play the sorcerer. Don't be afraid to hit people with your fists if there's just one of them. Yeah, that's about it. Stuff that I wish I had heard before, that now that I know it, I'm having a lot of fun in here. Level 13, which is really high for this area, but I'm gonna eventually go back down to like level 4 and 5, and because when you get to, I think it's 5, everything looks different, and you can actually walk back up to the the surface through the little like mausoleum building. So anyway, hope that helps people out, stuff.